Well, may it please the court, my name is Todd Leiby. I am the appellant in this matter, and I apologize, I do have to go through this kind of quickly because there is a lot of dates and time frames that need to be certain that we're all on the same page on, because the lower courts, I'm not going to sugarcoat it, it's been a complete debacle, a systematic failure on all parts, and hopefully we can get this resolved here today. For starters, let's go over the timeline of this case and make certain we're all on the same page, because that's where the lower courts did error. The timeline is basically in 2021 I received my property tax bill for 2020 year. Those property taxes, as you know, are in arrears. So, you know, 2020 was due in 2021. However, the county increased the valuation of my property taxes 40% from the previous year. So that was a concern. I appealed those property taxes to ensure that that 40% increase would not stand. I was successful with that. However, when you are successful, you still have to pay your property taxes. So I paid those property taxes for the first half and the second half of the year for that increased value of my property. I also, in 2021, needed to sell my home. There's several reasons why. First and foremost, my mother was unfortunately in failing health at that time, and I needed to move home, and I was under a lot of duress to make certain I was able to provide the care my mother needed. Unfortunately, she has now since passed, so I'm just at a loss right now, but that's another story. I secure American Title for my closing processes, but prior to doing that, I have a real estate agent that I've been working with. I worked with her for the purchase of my home when I originally bought it back in 2015. During that process here, I signed a contract with her on somewhere around in August of 2021, okay? And then she steered me toward American Title Solutions, which she does have ownership in as well. So reason she steered me toward these individuals is because she could have hands-on control, and it would be a quick closing process, which I needed to try to sell this house quickly and be able to be there for my mother. But for the most part, once we did that, I signed Exhibit number 5 on August 17th of 2021, I apologize, I'm getting ahead of myself. August 17th of 2021, I received a notice from Summit County Officer Kristen Scalise regarding my new property taxes for the year 2021. That was the property tax duplicate that should have been used in this process. American Title Solutions decided they weren't going to use that. Exhibit 11, I was a listing agreement with the real estate agent that I did sign. That was in October 4th of 2021. There was specific language as to the amount of commission that would be paid to the real estate agent. It was agreed upon in that contract, and that was a signed document in October of 2021, October 4th specifically. The purchase agreement that I signed for the sale of my house with American Title and the buyers of my house, that document was signed on October 14th, and that is Exhibit number 12. The issue with this is we have all three parties that are in agreement as to how that contract should have been interpreted. There is no need for the court to provide any interpretation of that contract. The parties are all in agreement that the contract reads that if there is an overage of the property taxes, that money is to be returned to the seller of the property, which is me. So that is clear cut. There's nothing to be disputed about that. These folks that were hired, American Title Solutions, they are not to interpret the contract, nor should they be applying any interpretation to it. They are supposed to follow that contract. That is why they been hired. Their services for escrow services have been secured to make sure that money is put away and distributed properly. In November of 2021, November 22nd, I signed a settlement statement with American Title Solutions, And the reason I signed this settlement statement, which is basically a document, breaking down the cost of the sale of the house, they told me false information. They told me that I had tons of issues with this whole selling process. First and foremost, every bill, like utility bills, I overpaid on. There was a reason for some, I have never figured this out, nor have they ever been able to provide an explanation to me. They took out a retainer of $50,000 on reserve for some reason. No explanation why, wasn't in the contract, confused me. I was very upset with this. I was like, this isn't sitting well with me. I don't know what's going on, folks. Let's make certain I'm protected. So I got closing protection insurance. Everything that they did, everything I did, is insured. So that's the most important thing to take away from this. So I signed this settlement statement in November 22nd, and the main reason I signed it is because they verbally told me I was getting all this money back. And I did. I got this money back, but not every portion of it. I got the overpayment for all my utility bills, I got that money back, and that $50,000 retainer that they took back. Had I not got that back, we've been on a trial for a different reason, but that's besides the point there as well. But anyhow, I signed that agreement because not only did they tell me I was getting everything back, the contract states that. All three parties are in agreement. Folks, it's supposed to be designed to be a fair contract. If I am short on the property taxes, I owe the buyers that. If I am over, the reserve of those funds is returned to me, and that's how that contract's interpreted. The lower court got confused when they were making the decision. The magistrate, let's see, when he made his, this goes all the way to, I think, when do we have that original hearing? Did I miss that on my timeline? It was January 26th, or actually no, hearing schedule. I believe it was January 26th. So when we had that hearing, the magistrate took 10 plus weeks before he finally came back with the decision. He was confused during that hearing with all the dates and the facts of the case. American Title Solution had an attorney present. They weren't very honest and forthcoming with information. So it was very misleading to the magistrate, and they made an error, folks. He, in his decision, thought that I got my property taxes back, the overage of it. He is correct, I did, but what you guys need to understand is for 2 consecutive years in a row, I overpaid my property taxes. So the property taxes that were refunded to me were for the year 2020. 2021's property taxes, I also overpaid, and I never got that money back. And American Title Solutions were the people that were responsible for that money, and they should have returned those funds to me. The other issue that we need to address is the issue of real estate commissions. As I was mentioning before, I signed a document with my real estate agent agreeing to percentages because we didn't know the sale of the house, what it was going to sell for. When I came to sign the settlement agreement at American Title, they did not provide these percentages, they just had the number there. I unfortunately did make the mistake of trusting these people to have their math correct. That trust was misplaced, I made an error, I acknowledge that. However, they made an error because that number was not correct. That number was off by $1,100 per the original agreement with my real estate agent. So I overpaid for both real estate agents' commission. When there's an error on a contract or something happens where there's an error on both ends of the parties, you need to look at prior contracts to determine the intent of the party, which the contract that I did sign with my real estate agent is the prior contract, and it would supersede any contract that I signed with American Title Solution in regards to dispersing of these funds. So that is a huge issue that I think we need to address, and I'm hoping that this court can assist with that matter, because there's also another thing that's coming out that some of your fellow co-workers that are going to be dealing with this in the appeals court, I was questioning this as well. Why is the seller in charge of paying for the buyer's real estate agent's commission? That real estate agent did nothing for the seller. It's already been found that the person that's bringing about this lawsuit has been successful in the initial round and it is going to an appeal, but that's for another issue for me to address with them because I also overpaid on that. But I will address that at another issue in time with that real estate agent. But for the fact of the matter is, this is what's happened. These folks ripped me off. I'm not going to sugarcoat it any which way. They ripped the buyers off. They did not know what they were doing. These folks had no clue. They were just playing it by ear. They've never processed a sale of a house of anyone that has appealed their property taxes successfully. So they had no clue as to how to go about it. And they were relying on old county information from 2020 to process this closing process, and that is inaccurate, folks. I had the information from the current property tax duplicate of 2021 provided to them, and I gave them that information. They chose not to use it. I should have used my discretion in saying, why aren't you guys using this? But I trusted them saying that I was going to get every penny of that back. And I believed it, because all the other accounts that I did have, I got all that money back. So, I mean, I think that's the part of the problem, that we're not all on the same page, because when you overpay for a bill, you got to get that money back. If you don't, then you got ripped off. And that's what exactly happened in this scenario. I got ripped off by these people. These people were responsible for this money. They aren't supposed to interpret this contract. They're just supposed to follow it. They need to ask the experts that signed that. All three parties are in agreement that that money should have been returned to me, and it was not, folks.
Well, thank you for your explanation on kind of the merits. Looking at Judge Williams' decision on the magic decision, and she said she didn't apply within, or object within 14 days. Tell me about that.
If you folks, just off the top of your heads, don't say it out loud, but can you recall what happened in the week of April 10th this year in Akron? Anybody? But I'm going to tell you, the Jalen Walker verdict. The city of Akron shut down. I went to that courthouse on April 11th. I tried to file my objection timely, sir. I was denied by the City of Akron Police Department working security for the building there. I was inside the building. They would not let me up to file that document.
April 11th, you say, was the
April 11th, I was at the courthouse trying to file that document timely. I told the officer there, I said, I'm going to record this to show, you know, you guys are denying me access to this building to file this document. I need to file this document. And the officer says, don't you record this. And I, having an understanding and respect of our officers in law enforcement, abided by his wishes. I then told the gentleman, I said, well, can you guys sign something that states why you guys are denying me? He goes, nope, we're not going to do that either. And I'm like, well, how do I prove that I'm here? And he says, well, take a picture of the letter that's posted on their little plexiglass screen, and that'll show that you're here. And I was like, okay, I'll take a picture of that, and I'll call the number on that, and we'll see what we got going on. But I needed to file this, and they prohibit me from filing that. So I go calling that number. Nicole Haggie, I believe, is the individual that's the number is assigned to. I leave a voice message and explain the situation. She does not call me back. I have never gotten a call back from her. I called her a couple times, never received a call back, folks. It's there's something going on at the court's end. I don't know what, but they're overwhelmed.
Did you file and explain all of this with the trial court when you filed your objection before Judge Williams explained what happened?
What happened was, sir, once I called that number and I didn't get anybody, I immediately went to the post office. I mailed this certified mail. From the U.S. Postal Service, I have a receipt that states that they received this document April 13th at 11:07 a.m. They had in possession this document. Now, here's the problem. They didn't process this document until 4:27. It sat on somebody's desk, and that's what happens. They don't cross-train at the lower courts. If somebody's out, they don't. It sits. It doesn't get processed. They were shut down, I don't know what the time period they were shut down. I don't know if employees were coming in or going or still working or doing whatever, but this did not get processed until 4/27, and I have a receipt from the United States Post Office that states that it was delivered on 4/13 at 11:07 a.m. So I mentioned
None of
that.
that, just to make sure I understand, none of that's in the record. If I go look through the trial court record to find what you're talking about, right now, none of that's in the trial court record. You're telling you have it, and I appreciate that, but it's not anywhere that I would find in the record that came up.
Well, you will find that, because there was a note that I attached to my brief that they had on the internet. And I said, if this does not get filed timely, I need an extension because I was denied access to the court to file it timely.
Thank you for letting me know that.
So when you stuck it in the mail at the post office, certified, you also attached that?
I didn't, the post office did.
No, I mean the little note that Judge
Yes,
Stevens
I had that
talked
attached to the
about.
brief.
Okay, and we can see that in the record.
You should be able to see, I pulled it up off the internet myself recently, and I saw that in the record. And that's I think the appeals court wouldn't allow me to submit the documents to support it as well, because those events didn't happen
And
during the
that's
trial.
why the record, asked you if it's on the record below so we can see what you're telling us.
Yeah, so
You attached your brief so we can review that. Thank you.
yes.
Okay, well, thank you very much, thank you for your presentation to the court. We will take the matter under advisement, and as I explained to the people that argued in front of you, we will then make a written determination, a written opinion, that will be sent to you by the clerk, and then you can also check on the Ohio Supreme Court website.
Well, I just want to make certain we are all on the same page, though, because the lower court was in error. He thought, he was trying to make me whole, and he did not successfully
I
do
think we
that.
understand your argument, and unfortunately, you're out of time, too.
Okay.
Okay, well, thank you so much.
Well, thank you, folks. Have a wonderful day, and I have to go vote.